to
Let
just
me-
go there?
Yeah, we'll leave it open.
Let me ask you this question. Do you see the notes view on these monitors? Or not necessarily?
We can
You
set it
can.
up. We can set it up to see, for you to see the
Okay.
notes view. Do you prefer the notes view?
I do.
Okay. So
As long as they see the-
everyone will see the notes.
Oh, everyone will see the notes?
Not that I know.
That doesn't work.
No.
Well, no.
I'll be able to put
As
the
in,
notes up
as in
there.
every other pitcher will see their own notes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Every pitching person will see their notes.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the presenter's view.
Yes.
Yes. So he can set up so that sees the notes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I'm lost. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes. If you want to sit like somewhere near the front, you can leave it out. Oh, you got that. That's all set. Your slides are already submitted. Like they're already there.
Do we use any microphones?
Yes.
So that's how it'll look there, and
Your number two. So he'll probably.
it'll look like that up there.
Perfect. You are.
He will probably give you
Master.
like something that unless you prefer.
And your name is?
Dan.
Dan. Thank you, Dan.
And how do we paste it?
So the slides. No. He will set that up.
Something like that.
Yeah. You can click through this.
Slide advance.
But would the videos play if you click through?
I
Or do you have to
don't
click
know.
physically here?
They would have to set that up, but if we bring it up like this,
Yeah.
they'll be able to come and click play if they need to.
Okay.
Is everything okay?
I believe so.
Okay, so nobody said like, oh, there's a problem with my pitch. One person wanted to update the pitch. Did you already do that?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe he spoke with her, so I think he fixed that.
Great, thanks. I thought we were going to help you guys up with
If you want to do it for white you can. We have a handheld mic, or I can do it.
last year we hooked everyone up with the board.
Yeah, it's probably because these things are like so exactly. This is good if you have a.
All right, so
Handheld for time.
have you mentioned
I press on
Yes, and then I'll get the others.
John.
I just spoke with who I think the moderator is and someone else, and it seems like they all kind of want to use their handhelds, but I gave the option.
Okay. I thought that they prefer to like not use the head or the clicker and the mic.
Yeah.
I'll just check with the first two.
So just to go over it, so I'm going to introduce, I'm going to say hi, welcome, introduce you, and then you're going to say before we get started, like to ask each of our, just to recognize each of our judges, and in the interest of time, just ask each of you, when I call your name, to maybe the same, stand, something like that, really quick.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
There we go.
No, he has to turn things on. Can you help us with this? Can we use this?
Yes.
Yeah. How about this one?
Hey, hey, 1, 2.
Oh, that's working. Okay, thank you.
Once everyone's quiet, so
Okay.
you'll be able to hear.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the tech pitches, one of our favorite blood sports here at the Yale Innovation Summit, where the teams from the university that vie for weeks on end with us in practices get to come here and wow you with their new technologies and inventions and services. My name's Jim Boyle. I'm with Yale, and to run the event this afternoon, we have Lena Bay, our colleague from Wigan and Dana here, who's going to be the master of ceremonies and introduce each of the teams. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Lena.
Hi, everybody. So just to give an overview of the format for today's event, we will be having 8 different teams pitch. Each team gets 5 minutes to present, and then we'll have 2 minutes of Q&A from our judges. And before we get started, I'm just going to introduce each of our judges who are sitting at the front panel here. And in the interest of time, if you would just maybe stand and face the crowd when your name is called. So we have Nat Bryn from VC23. We have Spring Hollis from Star Strong Group. We have Kristen King from Boston Harbor Angels. Carly Rao from Blue Ivy Ventures, Richard Stahl from Elm Street Ventures, and then do we have BG from 8VC in the room?
I think he's missing. Hopefully he'll show up soon.
All right, not yet. And then we may also have Claire Laurent from Samson Ventures. All right, so we'll be moving on to our first pitch, which will be new stent, imageable, magnetic, biodegradable, intravascular scaffold for treatment of atherosclerosis, and presented by Alison Usos. Great.
All right, great, thanks. Good afternoon. My name is Alison Usos. I'm a cardiologist and professor of medicine and radiology, and I'm going to present our technology, which is an imageable, magnetic, biodegradable intravascular scaffold for the treatment of atherosclerosis. So, peripheral arterial disease is a major clinical problem which involves the progression of atherosclerosis in the lower extremities, and the treatment is often stenting. The problem with stenting in the peripheral vasculature is there is a very high restenosis rate and a risk for late in-stent thrombosis. And so procedures are often done repeatedly, and because of persistent low flow, there's often non-healing ulcers and patients may lose their extremities. So the big revolution in interventional cardiology is a biodegradable scaffold. The market opportunity is large. Peripheral vascular stenting procedures are done over 900,000 a year. The average stent price is $1,200, and the market value is estimated at $1.1 billion. At Yale alone, we've performed over 2,200 peripheral stents last year. The cardiac stenting market is even larger, with an estimated global market of $5.4 billion. I'm going to present a novel nanomagnetic technology, which also has implications potentially beyond stenting for myocardial repair and even for the treatment of cancer. The concept is outlined on this slide. It involves a dissolvable stent platform, which is imageable and also carries a magnetic targeting capability. The prototype is on the left, and iron-loaded stem cells are delivered and are attracted to the stent in order to re-endothelialize and normalize the vascular injury associated with vascular stenting. Our design has our prototype has many novel features. It's biodegradable and uniquely imageable, and so there's minimal inflammation, there's low profile, improved deployment, and one can track the degradation non-invasively. Because of its rapid degradation, we can avoid thrombosis and long-term need for dual antiplatelet therapy. We have the only scaffold which employs nanomagnetic cell capture to promote vascular repair following stenting. We have significant preliminary data in support of our technology, and this was supported through the European Union. We have ex vivo testing, which has demonstrated the radial strength and the degradation. We performed detailed bioreactor studies to optimize the design so that it will degrade within 1 to 3 months. And we've demonstrated magnetic cell capture. We've demonstrated the safety of the iron platinum particles that are used to create the magnetic stent. And we've performed a large number of porcine studies which demonstrate safety and feasibility for deployment, the imageability on both fluoroscopy and CT, the demonstration of in vivo degradation, and also the ability to do cell capture. So we have an academic industrial partnership, involves physician scientists both at Yale and University College of London, in partnership with a German stent company, Qualimed. And we're under a unified organization, a startup new stent, which has a management team, and they've identified consultants for fundraising, and we have initial investment. We propose a two-step approach to mitigate regulatory and safety challenges. We'll deploy it first in the peripheral vasculature, and based on efficacy, move it to the coronary vasculature.
1 minute.
We hold significant intellectual property, as outlined on this slide, and Yale is uniquely has those assets for this invention. Shown here is our proposed investment requirement, which would initially involve prototype stent development, bioreactive testing, and then in vivo evaluation in a porcine model, with then translation to clinical studies. So in summary, we're addressing a critical and unmet clinical need, the treatment of peripheral arterial disease, and we have a novel combination technology which involves an imageable, biodegradable scaffold with unique magnetic targeting that provides regenerative therapy. And we have significant proof of concept to establish the feasibility of this approach. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, now we'll turn to our judges.
Can you talk a little bit about the evidence basis for the stem cell function and then the timing relative of the stem cell function relative to the absorption of the stent?
So there have been a number of antibody type stents that would attract stem cells that have shown efficacy for fast re-endothelialization in this scenario. And we're proposing an alternative mechanism which includes magnetic capture of iron-loaded stem cells, which are actually identified through an FDA mechanism to sort that. And we would intend to apply this technology at the time of, we do the bone marrow harvest, prior to stenting for a given individual.
Okay. We have time for another question.
Can you speak to the estimated time to first revenues and the amount of capital that gets estimated to be required?
So we have the initial pilot data that we have was based on €6 million investment through the European Commission, and we've raised at this point $250,000 to move on to the next phase, and we hope to be able to move to first in human studies within 3 to 4 years.
Great. Do we have any other questions?
Just a follow-on for regulatory and reimbursement. For the typical stenting, are you looking to replace that? Because I know there's like the 10-year fatigue studies are, since yours is reabsorbed in 3 months, can you just talk me through your plan of attack for that?
I'm not sure I got the question.
So when you have to qualify a new stent, it's typically 10 years you have to demonstrate that this is going to last, and if yours is absorbable.
Well, our target is to dissolve the stent within 3 months, and we've actually done animal studies taking these stents out to 1 year, and have demonstrated sort of a degradation somewhere between 1 to 3 months in the current prototype we have in the heart. We suspect that degradation will be slower in the peripheral vasculature because of flow rates in the lower extremities that are about 1/10 that in the coronary circulation.
Great. Thank you, Al. Absolutely, yep. So our next presenter is Hitan Zaveri with Neuroprobe, Reinventing Brain Care in the 21st Century.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hitan Zaveri. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about the Neuroprobe device that we're developing. This is a brain implantable sensor that goes, the solution goes all the way from sensors all the way through multimodal monitoring, real-time analysis, and alerts. And through this, we are looking to reinvent brain care in the 21st century. The team is composed of, can I get this to work? The team's composed of Mark Reed of electrical engineering, Dr. Reed's the inventor of quantum dots, Dr. Dennis Spencer of neurosurgery. Dr. Spencer's the inventor of Spencer Probe, which is used for measuring intracranial EEG worldwide and is a forerunner of the Neuroprobe. I am in neurology. I'm an engineer, electrical, computer, and biomedical engineer by training. The team also includes a human studies group with a second neurosurgeon, a neurointensivist, the Reed group, which fabricates our brain implantable sensors, an animal studies group, 4 business advisors, students, and an FDA advisor. Our problem that we're trying to solve is in the neurointensive care unit. We have a need to monitor directly from the brain. We need to monitor multiple modalities, and we need to continuously stream these data and monitor them, track them over days. The way we do this is by creating multiple access points into the brain, inserting probes into the brain, and then those probes are tied to the instrumentation that you see behind the bed there. The challenges currently, the shortcomings are multiple. Each of these probes goes to a separate device and a separate monitor, and we have a requirement for these multiple insertion points or a single large access point. We also need to have these external devices, multiple external devices, and the challenges there of purchasing the devices, of maintaining them, training staff to use them, the software upgrades, and primarily our biggest challenge is the data. The data go to separate devices, They're not synchronized, they're not acquired in a common framework. So we're looking to change that and bring all the data to one platform for analysis and interpretation. The way we would like to do this is to cut through the problem and come up with a single solution going from a brain implantable probe all the way through analysis. And the way we do it is we've got 3 parts to our solution: a multimodal probe, a single multimodal probe we call the neuroprobe, a single set of electronics we call the neural link to acquire all the data, and a single monitor to do real-time analysis and display. I'll walk through each part of this. First, the probe. The probe can measure EEG, blood flow, pressure, oxygen, and temperature. It's been designed here at Yale, and we've built a prototype at Yale. These sensors work with equal or better precision and accuracy than our current commercial devices. And it's sort of single point sensor data, a single output connection. We've simplified the solution, so we don't need a surgeon. We don't need an OR for placement of the probe. And importantly for the DoD, this entire solution ranging from the neuroprobe through the neuromonitor is portable and can be taken to forward positions for placement. The second, the probe is connected to the Neuralink, which can acquire scalp EEG, the neuromonitor, which can display these data, and can optionally be connected to the cloud for real-time machine learning-based analysis, cloud processing, and data storage, and other sort of network-based analysis. We see our initial target market as being traumatic brain injury, where we understand the TAM to be on the order of $200 million. We are looking to reinvent the business in the sense that we are testing assumptions for leasing the equipment rather than purchasing the equipment. We're looking at network subscription fees and other fees, and this has been done by our business group. We're also separately looking at what could be done to use this as a platform technology to address other needs such as epilepsy, vascular disorders, and animal studies to understand which therapeutics cross the blood-brain barrier.
1 minute.
At a second point in time, we plan to put neurochemistry sensors into this and then change this into a therapeutic device as well. In progress to date, we've developed the sensors needed for traumatic brain injury: temperature, pressure, oxygen, blood flow, and oxygen sensors. We've submitted a patent, developed a patent portfolio. We've had a very comfortable, very nice interaction with the FDA, where they've concurred with our path to 510K. They've concurred with our predicate devices that we've identified, that we will not need animal studies, we will not need human studies. We've built prototype systems. The probe is shown on the bottom, and this is being fabricated by a company outside Boston. We should have it in a few weeks. We've made software that can display all the different modalities in real time in a synchronous manner.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have any questions from the judges?
Could you talk a little bit just more about placement of the probe?
Right.
How and where exactly it's placed?
So in our first indication is traumatic brain injury. There is no specific requirement that has to be placed accurately. This can be placed at the bedside. We typically place either in the frontal lobes or the parietal lobes. It doesn't have to be done accurately under imaging. So you drill a hole and you place it so that you access the gray matter and the white matter.
2 quick questions. One is a clarification, and I'm not from the medical community, but I've looked at a few of these device plays. Is it that your neuroprobe is going to gather better data, more data in a more simplified way? Is that kind of the core contribution?
The core contribution is an integration, so that all those multiple probes that we are placing currently in all the multiple devices are all going to get simplified into a single solution.
Right.
Yes,
so
it's an integration.
So the data gathering is like integrated and therefore simple.
Yes.
One of the challenges we have seen in this market is whenever you have to physically go to market and place something in the hospital system, there is significant friction. Do you guys have some magic wand or some channel partnerships that is going to solve for that?
Right. So we have discussions ongoing with Philips, and we have been approached by other vendors in the space. There's a data aggregator called Moberg that's interested in an exclusive license from us. We also understand from my experience at Yale that it takes a fair amount of cost to instrument a single bed and a fair amount of expertise to bring in all the solutions, all the technology into place. And we think by simplifying this and going to a leasing model, we'll make it easier for hospitals to instrument beds with our solution.
And the relative expense resulting from your pricing model?
Yeah, so we're testing different assumptions. We think we can match all the different probes that are placed, all the disposables. We'd be equal in price to the disposables and would be relatively lower on the instrument costs. We're looking to truly lease that equipment so that we can get under the capital expenditure budget for different hospitals, so that this can be brought in easier rather than going through a sort of equipment purchase agreement.
All right, that's all our time for today. Round of applause. And our next presenter is Vivek Rajaratnam with Hypnos, wearable EEG for fatigue management and error prevention.
Oh, thank you.
Hello everyone, we are Hypnos Technology, Fatigue Management for Society and Public Health. My name is Vivek Rajaratnam. I'm a second-year healthcare management student at Yale School of Public Health.
I'm Jason Liu. I'm a junior studying philosophy and computational psychology with background in industrial design and also venture capital.
We are a group of students at both Yale and MIT with background in biomedical engineering to help us with going forward. We also have a group of advisors with backgrounds in neurology, management across at MIT and Stanford to help us going forward. So the issue we want to address today is fatigue. Fatigue is estimated to cost employers $140 billion in health-related lost productivity, according to the National Safety Council. We see this in groups that are working in public safety. Those in healthcare, EMS providers are an example, protective services, and transportation. But a group that we don't often see this in is software engineers, specifically programmers in the tech industry. According to studies, we know that software programmers spend around 32 hours per month fixing errors in their code. Hypothetically speaking, if they were to save 2 hours per week to not fix these errors, they would save in total 400 million hours. And we know that a lot of these errors are related to fatigue.
So our proposed solution is the Hypnos Earpiece. It is a earphone that is a wearable technology that is unobstructive and you can easily fit into your workflow. It measures EEG, cardiac activity, and also your blinking rate. And what it's able to do is take all this information and aggregate together to provide you a real-time outlook of your fatigue level throughout the day. So for example, if you want to see how changing your exercise impact your concentration and fatigue level in a day, you can use this device. If you want to, for example, schedule your meeting with your boss at a time where you're most alert, where you're most unlikely to have microsleep occurrences, you can see your historical accurate data. And individuals, such as in technology companies, could share that information with their teammates so they can do load balancing. And that is one problem that we discovered through talking with product managers at Microsoft and other top tech firms in the country, which is load balancing is a really big issue. We want to make sure that people are spreading the work equally throughout a team, and there's no quantitative method of currently spreading that work to optimize for the workload of a team in these companies. We realize that there are other competitors in the space as well, and that using EEG to measure brain data is nothing new. However, competitors in the market are currently really cumbersome, are big devices that are designed to work either at a research setting or in sort of more of an industrial setting with truck drivers, et cetera, et cetera. Well, our thesis is that a small, around-the-ear device that people are already accustomed to wearing Bluetooth and other earpods will be something with better consumer buy-in. In our next step on timeline, we're a young team, but we're currently beginning the prototyping process. We have the hardware being developed at MIT at the moment, and we're hoping to have a pilot launch in 2019 with students at Yale and MIT to collect a massive data set of people's fatigue levels, sleeping, and how that correlates into the alpha and theta waves. We hope to then use that data to begin a pilot trial with technology companies and then have a product ready to launch into the technology industry by 2021.
1 minute.
We're Hypnos Technologies, and we believe that the future of wearable technology is not just your smartwatch, it's not just your AirPods, it is something more. That you can have a Fitbit for your mind, where you can leverage the data from your brain to better your workflow, have better load balancing, and also reach improvements in exhaustion and fatigue levels in the workplace. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Questions from our judges?
Have you thought about how employees will perceive this if their manager is telling them to wear something in their ear that'll tell them how concentrated they are? Do you think that they'll be receptive to actually using it?
Yeah, so the key here is that they're going to opt in to provide this data for their employer. There's a choice. Primarily, we see this based for the individual. The value proposition is for themselves. The opt-in option is for providers and their other team members for the load management capabilities.
So let's say you're on a team and you're using this device, you bought it for yourself, you want to measure your own fatigue level throughout a day. You can, as an option, you can personally share it with your teammates and be, like, hey, I'm a little bit exhausted today. Why don't we rebalance the workload? That is sort of how we're seeing the application of technology.
Any other questions?
I'm guessing this will be most useful for high school students who are the most sleep-deprived people in the U.S. probably. But I was actually serious. I'm not joking. I mean, so I think the route. What I'm wondering about is, I think go-to-market is kind of hard. But what are you trying to focus on? Go-to-market root cause as a software development shop will rebalance and reduce somebody's load? Or is there some notion of feedback loop to root cause also? There are two things going on. One is to handle the symptom at the workplace. The other is there is some other root cause that is causing fatigue, right? Are you guys just focusing on solving something in the workplace by rebalancing of workload? Like, what's the intent of the?
The intent of the product is, at the moment, there is no quantitative method to even measure that. And it's both lacking for individuals to measure their own fatigue levels and also for organizations to see a macro view of what they look like. And the ability to have something for the first time, a consumer-oriented product that can measure that information and provide quantitative solutions to people, we believe our thesis is that that could be extremely valuable for both individuals and also companies.
All right, thank you, Hypnos.
Thank you.
So our next presenter is Jonathan Hockman, and we have UNS, Universal Name System.
So, the internet is dark and full of terrors. We have 23 billion connected devices, and all of them are at risk. Today, most of them are secured with just a username and password, supposedly secured. Universal Name System is a proposed cryptographic infrastructure that would secure user accounts and help keep sensitive data private. Our team of founders started another company called CodeGuard in 2010, which successfully exited last year. Among our scientific advisors are two professors who taught me when I was here at Yale. Buyers of UNS Authentication as a Service enjoy many benefits. The most interesting, we think, for go-to-market is a 40% savings on software development and support costs. We have been advised that our technology is patent eligible. We've just filed a patent application, and this is our first time coming out in public with the idea. UNS has some elements, which I'll explain first. UNS leverages hardware-based security on user devices, including asymmetric cryptography modules and biometric modules. UNS operates as a distributed system with guardian nodes and controller nodes. A guardian node looks like this to the user. The user can go there and register their trusted devices. They can unregister a device if it gets lost, broken, replaced, and they can see what accounts are using UNS to authenticate their identity at login. The controller node is used to convey to services such as websites, apps, IoT devices, which is the proper account of the user, which data belongs to the user. What you'll notice here is that this table contains no personally identifiable information. There's no name, there's no username, there's no address, nothing that can be used to recognize the person in real life. And this is designed for privacy. The network has users over on the right, and each user chooses a guardian node to work with. They choose someone who they trust to hold some information about their devices. The services choose a controller node who they trust. And then the controller nodes and the guardian nodes work together to identify each user to each service. This is what the authentication transaction looks like from the user perspective. A user takes one of their trusted devices, such as a mobile phone, a desktop, or maybe one of these USB keys if they're traveling and using another computer as a guest, and they have to unlock that device. Then they come to the login page where they want to authenticate, and they press the login button, which starts a cryptographic handshake with UNS. This proves to UNS that the trusted device is there, that the user has unlocked the device, and no username or password is needed. These are superfluous. They're no longer needed for security. UNS provides a number of advantages over prior systems, the most important of which are ease of use, security, and an assurance of privacy. Cybersecurity is a $170 billion per year market.
1 minute.
12% annual growth. We have identified several different ways that we can monetize UNS. We envision a 5-year process to achieve widespread market acceptance. And now I'll take your questions. Thank you.
Questions from the judges?
Is there a chicken and egg issue? Can you get started with just one user?
There's no chicken and egg issue because this is designed to use what I call the dandelion method. So first we go to the little startup companies, all the people here, and say, you have a choice. You can program your own user authentication and have that expense and that hassle and that risk, or we'll give it to you for free for up to 5,000 users. Just take it and use it. So then their users become our users. And once we have demonstrated success with these smaller scale deployments of the solution, we can start to climb the ladder to larger and larger companies and eventually licensees and partners.
Any other questions?
Really interesting, Jonathan. So for deployment for a user, you'll have to provide the USB key, or is there a physical thing you have to provide?
So a user could use a USB key. They could use probably their existing cell phone or their computer. We have the ability to offer different levels of security. So maybe if someone is on a guest device, they can get a lower security level authentication just with software. So we really want to be flexible about this and not require anyone to spend a lot of money. We hope to recycle.
But the base release is a hardware device, yes or no?
Yes, it's hardware-based security.
Yeah, that's what okay, fair enough. And that will be one per user.
One per user.
That hardware can be your phone.
Okay, so you don't need an additional.
No, you can reuse your existing hardware.
Okay, got it.
All right. There's no other questions. Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. So our next presenter is Ji-Hoon Park with PatPR, Transcatheter Mitral Valve Repair System.
You just hold it, right?
Just click to your slide.
Good afternoon. I'll present an exciting product for transcatheter mitral repair system, PatPR. I'm Ji-Hoon Park, an engineer in this team, a group of surgeon, engineer, and business advisors. Our group has been featured in the international media and received several awards for innovation. Mitral valve controls blood flow from lung to the left lower chamber of the heart. And mitral regurgitation, MR, is leakage of the blood between two leaflets. And mitral valve function is dependent on multiple components. However, the majority of MR is due to papillary muscle displacement and left ventricle dilation. MR affects millions, 15 million worldwide, 10 million suffers from moderate to severe MR, and 4 million is in need of treatment. However, only 2% of this 4 million get surgery. Why? Because of high operative risk, multiple comorbidities, advanced stage, and low EF. Surgery cannot help 98% of the patients. There are two types of MR, and those 2% surgical candidates belong to degenerative MR, which is leaflet-related issue. And 98% inoperable patients mostly belong to functional MR, which is ventricle issue. Ventricle dilation causes papillary muscle displacement, followed by leaflet separation, resulting in leak from the valve. Therefore, we need a catheter-based system that targets papillary muscle and left ventricle. So these are the existing transcatheter heart valve systems. And MitraClip is the only available transcatheter mitral repair system in the market, which costs $25,000 per package. However, none of these devices address the root cause of majority of MR, papillary muscle and left ventricle. So here, we propose our transcatheter PatPR, papillary muscle approximation and ventricle restoration system, the solution for 98% inoperable patients. This idea is based on solid science, and this is clinically proven that it results in better outcomes. And PatPR has huge market potentials. If you target 90% of the market with 25% of market penetration rate at the price of $25,000, it'll create greater than $20 billion market. So here is how PatPR works. You introduce sheath, and through the sheath, snare comes down, wrapping around the two papillary muscles, and then tighten the snare to bring the two papillary muscles together. And then the delivery catheter comes down through the sheath and penetrate through the papillary muscles. And the nitinol stent is delivered through the catheter. And as you push this nitinol stent, an anchoring scaffold comes out at one end. And as you remove the catheter, another anchoring scaffold comes out at the other end, fixing the two papillary muscles in an approximated positions. So PatPR is Class 3 device and will require pre-market approval review. So what is achieved so far? Concept, design, prototype, clinical experience, and 5 patents. Next steps are prototype testing for approaching and animal testing, which will cost $300K in total, 40% and 60% for each test. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Questions from our judges?
A few questions. One is, chronic anticoagulation is needed after this is placed?
Yes. Yes, we need it.
If necessary, can this be removed non-invasively or with a catheter also?
Yes. I didn't show the string in the animation, but there will be string, so you can just like pull it out to take it back into the catheter.
And then a few words about your regulatory pathway that you envision.
To go on to the regulatory path, we need the total amount of $5 million. And also we know how to bring the innovation to the bedsides. You may want to check out the poster number 12, Charisma. That came from our lab. We know how to design and create and found the company. So I think the PatPR is ready to go on to the bedside as well.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. All right, so we have Chi Liu with Amy, Artificial Intelligent Medical Imaging.
Thank you. So I'm an associate professor at Yale Radiology and Biomedical Engineering. So we try to create a safer, faster, and cheaper medical imaging solution using artificial intelligence and deep learning. So we focus on the imaging modalities called SPECT and PET, and those are the modalities we have to inject the radio tracers into the patient, and the radio tracers will introduce radiation dose that can increase the cancer risk. And also the imaging time for those modalities are long, and these are multi-million imaging equipments. And for the systems with hybrid CT scanners with them, then we have to shield the entire scanning room with lead, and that lead shielding can cost over $1 million just for room renovation. So we try to propose AI technology so we can provide the equivalent diagnostic accuracy, but without CT, with a lower dose, lower cost, faster time, and higher patient throughput. While we have multiple imaging technologies in the pipeline, at this point we focus on 2. The first one is called attenuation map generation for SPECT. And for SPECT imaging system, if we don't have a CT, we'll have attenuation artifact that can at least double the false positive diagnosis. And the current solution is to put a CT scanner paired with a SPECT scanner, and this hybrid system will provide attenuation map generated by CT. But this solution will increase the scanning cost by over $1 million just for the CT component, and also the room shielding can cost another $1 million. And in the market at this point, only 25% of the scanners are hybrid SPECT CT, but the remaining 75% of the scanners are SPECT-only system. They don't have a CT for attenuation correction. So now our solution is to using AI technology that we can convert the SPECT data directly to a synthetic attenuation map equivalent to the CT generated attenuation map. So that using this technology, so we can enable the 75% SPECT only scanners to provide the same diagnostic accuracy as the SPECT CT, but with a much lower radiation dose, scanner cost, and shielding cost. And we have filed a provisional patent for this technology. And the second technology is PET dose reduction. And in order to reduce the total radiation dose of PET by over, let's say, 90%, we can only inject 10% radio tracers into the patient. But that will cause a much higher image noise, as we just don't have enough signal to detect. And in these two sample lung cancer cases, you can see that even the tumors disappeared just due to the higher image noise. So using AI technology, we can convert this low dose high noise image into a much more enhanced image quality that are almost identical to the 100% full dose data. So enabled by the AI technology, the low dose PET can provide the same diagnostic accuracy as full dose PET, but with much lower radiation dose and a lower cost. And a faster scan can also improve the hospital throughput. And we have software IP and a proprietary data sets to train our neural network. So in terms of business model, we foresee 3 pathways. The first one is to work directly with the scanner companies. And the second one is to work with the PACS companies. So the PACS are the archiving system in the hospital where the images are stored and the physician can retrieve the images from. And the third pathway is to build our own server. It can be a cloud-based solution so that anyone all over the world can send us images and we can process and provide back to them with a charging fee. And right now, we are in early discussion with GE and Siemens, and we do have a successful track record of translating some other non-AI technologies into GE and Siemens scanner. And we're also in contact with Visage. This is the PACS vendor for Yale, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and other major hospitals, and to convert their software to integrate so that we can turn Yale New Haven Hospital as our first test site for clinical feasibility.
1 minute.
And right now, the SPECT and PET combined market will reach to $4 billion in 2023, and they have steady growth over the years. Now, our own competitor we know is a Stanford startup, but we have SPECT application that they don't have, and also we have a partnership with scanner and PACS companies in addition to cloud-based solutions. So now our technologies are pretty mature to be implemented, and we are continually supported by multiple NIH grants. They are multi-million, multi-year to continue development and optimization. And at this point, we do need VC funding to start a company so that we can implement our software into a clinical package to get FDA approval. So in summary, we can provide equivalent diagnostic accuracy, but with cheaper, faster, and safer medical imaging solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from our judges?
2 questions. Have you already published this stuff?
Right. So the first paper, the 2 technologies. The first one we will have an oral presentation in June, and we have also another abstract submitted to a technical conference. And the second technology, we have a paper already accepted. That are conditionally accepted. We're in revision.
So is the technical differentiator in the moat is coming from you having access to specialized data, or have you done something remarkably clever in your algorithm that nobody else has done, or both?
Right. The first idea that using the SPECT data and then using special training data set, that's something both idea and software are new. And for the second approach that we have in our unique training data set, and also we have some additional technologies that we specifically focus on the quantitative accuracy of those data. So that can differentiate us from other technologies.
We have time for another question.
Can intellectual property protect this or no?
So we have the first one, this the first technology that we have the ideas and the data, we already filed a provisional patent. And the second one, we're mainly through our unique trained network, that's a software IP.
Highly unlikely. It's almost very low probability because everybody is doing this in a business. Most of it doesn't get published. So it's both the strength and the weakness of this.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we have our penultimate presenter, Sherry McKee, with Lumi Smoking Cessation Wearable. Oh, gotcha. Sorry. My mistake. We have Amir Moore with ASIS, Automated Cell Injection Systems. Lumi will have to wait.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about a significant improvement to cell injection systems that is actually going to enable the high throughput of cell injections. We are a team of three. I'm an OBGYN, REI fellow, a neuroscientist, and the product inventor. Dr. Gao is in electrophysiology, and Dr. Seli is a fertility specialist. So the problem starts here. We have three great-looking eggs in the world of IVF. There is a problem. One of them is dead. And unfortunately, through light microscopy, we will not be able to tell which one is the dead one. We need a better way to assess cell viability, and even more than that. This is a video that you're more than welcome to see in our e-poster. It's a long one. Here we struggle penetrating a cell. It's not that easy even penetrating a cell when we do IVF. We cannot confirm cell penetration, always. So this is our product. 2 adapters and a meter. And this is what we do. We measure electrical resistance in real time. The resistance outside the cell is about 32 mega ohms. And when we penetrate the cell, the resistance goes up to 40, 41 mega ohms. When we retract the pipette, the resistance goes back to baseline. So actually, we confirm 2 things: true cell penetration and that the cell is viable. Cells that are dead will not show resistance increase. So this is one of our experiments on human eggs. In the world of electrophysiology, we know that penetrating healthy eggs will show high resistance. This is what we see on the left. But the question is, what happens with the non-viable ones, the bad-looking ones? Would we get any false positive results there? And as you can see, there are no false positive results when we deal with non-viable eggs. And this is very important for automated cell injection systems. So what we offer is real-time confirmation of cell penetration and viability, independent of visualization. We confirm viability and we don't damage the cell. This is first-in-class, fully functional device that can be integrated into any cell injection system for just $100. So current manual and automated cell injection systems rely on image processing algorithms and pressure sensing techniques. Sometimes both of them are unreliable. And studies show that if we rely on image input alone, the error rate can range between 30 to 50%. So actually, we can integrate our device into these systems and improve them. We can increase success rates in IVF and in general, and we can speed up the process, actually allowing the commercialization of high throughput systems. So the markets are large, and our device is already fully functional. We can integrate it into the IVF market immediately, and to the glass pipettes market, a $1.4 billion market. Later on, we plan the integration of our device into automated systems in the IVF world and in general. Cell therapies, for example, $20 billion. I'm sorry. So the target customers are industry, pharma companies, manufacturers that make cell micromanipulation systems, manufacturers that make proteins, genetic materials, fertility clinics, research institutions, and medical centers. Our immediate plan is to improve success rates. We can integrate our device into existing systems in order to improve training, reduce their cost. We don't need FDA approval for that, and we need $200,000 for product manufacturing and distribution.
1 minute.
Later on, we plan the integration of our device into automated systems And these are the systems that are the real high throughput systems and opening the door to high throughput cell injections. Thank you.
Thank you. Turn to our judges.
Can you just talk a little more about your IP and what is protected or protectable?
Sure. So we submitted the IP with the Yale OCR. We are protecting the method. As you can tell, it's very simple. This is our protection, the IP, which is very broad. And we can discuss it later. I can show you the claims.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, is there anything similar to this or any clinical evidence that's close that's been published or talked about?
So we've done an extensive search with Yale OCR. No, nothing has been done. This is application of simple electrophysiology principles into our field, cell injection, IVF. It has never been done. It has never been checked. So this is a first-in-class device. And by the way, this is how it works. This is an adapter that is integrated into an existing system. It allows the integration of electrical wire into a pipette, and then we can measure whatever we want through with electrophysiological equipment, very simple equipment. The product is very cheap.
Any remaining questions?
Have you talked to any of the competitors, the industry players you put up there?
We're very young. Not yet. That's what we are going to do. And we just published we submitted to publication our first paper.
Okay, great, thank you. So now we have our final team, Sherry McKee with Lumi, smoking cessation wearable.
Whatever you think will work best. The mic, is it on? Yes. She wants to present the view.
This is her? Yes, this one. All right, take the slideshow. Yeah, what's up?
Sure. Let's just, yeah, closer there. Okay. I'll put it down. All right, good afternoon. I'm Sherry McKee, professor of psychiatry and co-founder of Lume. My expertise is in addictive behaviors, and today I will be talking about the first ever wearable biosensor system for smoking cessation. So the Lume platform tracks hand and mouth gestures in three-dimensional space using hardware that exists in any smartwatch or activity tracker. Smoking, drinking, and eating all use characteristic hand and mouth gestures. So when you consider smoking behavior, a smoker raises their hand to their mouth, pauses for the puff, and then lowers their hand, and they do this 8 to 10 times per cigarette. We've developed a machine learning algorithm to detect these behaviors in real time without requiring any active input from the user. We have NIH funding to develop treatment platforms for smoking, drinking, and eating, and today I will be focusing on our smoking cessation platform. Smoking remains the leading cause of death and disability in the United States, 480,000 deaths per year, which is more than the entire population of Atlanta dying each and every year from something that is completely preventable. Employers should care about this because there's 30 million smokers in the workforce, and smokers cost their employers $6,000 per year in lost productivity and increased healthcare premiums. With the Lume platform, we can detect smoking gestures with 98% accuracy. And after a user wears the system for 2 weeks, we can predict smoking 6 minutes in advance of them actually smoking. We have developed a behavioral just-in-time intervention to wrap around this prediction interval. No user input is required other than they wear the watch, download the app. It is seamlessly integrated into a user life. There's no need to ever show up for an office-based appointment, and the intervention delivers the right message at the right time. I'll give you an example. A smoker wakes up in the morning, immediately goes and grabs their coffee and a cigarette. During the intervention phase, they would receive a message like this at about 6:55 in the morning. It would identify that coffee is a trigger for their smoking and offer either a skill-based message or a motivational message to help them manage that situation at that particular point in time. We have completed a phase 2 randomized clinical trial comparing the Lume system to an active control condition and have demonstrated the efficacy of the system, increasing the odds of quitting by 2.25 times over the control condition. And this is the first ever demonstration of an effective just-in-time intervention. To our knowledge, there's only one other competitor that's developing a gesture-based system for smoking cessation. Their accuracy is at 80%, ours is 98%, and they don't have prediction capabilities. There are, of course, numerous smartphone apps out there, but they all require user engagement, which is often their downfall. The Lume system is inexpensive, scalable, easy to disseminate, does not require any user inputs, fully automated, seamlessly integrated, and the platform can be expanded in all sorts of ways, including the addition of smoking cessation medications. We have received a patent for the system, which covers just-in-time interventions for any health-related behavior using our gesture recognition platform. We plan to market this to employers and are developing a dashboard that will provide employers with real-time analytics about the benefits of using our system. I've listed activities here that we plan to engage in with seed round funding. Currently, the company is focused on addiction and eating behavior, but any behavior with a recognizable gesture can be tracked and predicted with our system.
1 minute.
This is a really exciting time for the company. We have support from Big Pharma. We are engaging in 2 paid pilots in corporate wellness. We have a grant pending with the National Cancer Institute and another one being submitted this summer, which provides $4 million in matching funds to VC investment in the company. We are about to close our seed round and will be engaging in Series A round next year in 2020. The team consists of a partnership between Yale and UMass with expertise in digital and mobile health, addictive behaviors, and systems integration, and we've just hired a VP of sales. With that, I will conclude with some user feedback and be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from our judges?
Could you talk through the choice to target employers as the customer rather than consumers directly?
This is based on many discussions with strategic partners, and they thought that this was the best way for us to start marketing the system. We are not adverse to eventually going to consumers, but we're going to start with corporate wellness. To be determined. We're still working that out, what our price point's going to be, and that's part of the negotiations we are right now with our 2 paid pilots, just trying to determine the metrics for those pilots. And ideally, if we achieve those metrics, they'll convert into contracts, and we'll be able to demonstrate the efficacy of the business model.
You might have said it. I think I missed it. Is it a device? Is it software installed on your cell phone?
It is primarily software. So the device uses existing gyroscopes and accelerometers that are in any smartwatch or Fitbit. So that's the data stream. We also use other automated data streams for the system, including GPS, surrounding Bluetooth.
So you'll have to wear something?
Correct. You have to wear, yes.
You have to wear it.
And download the app to the phone. Yep.
And you mentioned prediction as a core competitive advantage.
Yes.
How come? I mean, you have some data that others don't?
So we've so this is the data slide I show is about 5 years worth of data. A number of studies went into that to determine the prediction window. So yes, it is a key advantage.
Is that also based off of that individual user, the prediction model? Because you said you needed 2 weeks of...
Yes, so the user wears the system for 2 weeks, and in that time period it learns their smoking pattern, and the machine learning algorithm individualizes for the user and gets better at the prediction during the 2 weeks.
And that's where the problem will get harder.
All right, that's all our time for today.
All right, thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you to our competitors, our judges, and all of you for attending this event. The judges will be conferring and deciding who will be the winners, and they will be announced at the end of the day. Thank you.
Chip oil is trying to see if you can get anybody from Yale has a privacy line for the hospital. He's trying to see if we can get any of those people to show up. I know what they asked. I don't know if he actually sent me in by the job, but I had to try. But I could have tried to connect with him directly first and then show him. But I thought the invite from him to the event, well, also would be simple. It's like, oh yeah, I want to go, but how do I figure it out? Like, it's different to be invited.